Welcome to the Cecil Voice, our very own student-led podcast here at Cecil Hills High School. I'm one of your school captains, Kuber Takur.
And I'm here today with Jasmine, Jack and Sophie.
We are joined by yet another distinguished guest, the Minister for Education, Minister for Western Sydney and the Deputy of New South Wales, the Honourable Prue. Thank you.
Today we'll deep dive into her leadership journey and learn more about the person leading the way in transforming the educational landscape in our great state.
Today, to start us off with our first question, I now hand you back over to Kuber.
Before we do begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to Cecil Hills High School, Miss Carr. What is your fondest memory from school? Is there a teacher that had the most impact on your schooling and why?
Firstly, thank you so much. I am so blown away with how impressive this school community is straight away. I've been here for 10 minutes and I'm just so impressed. Sorry, I go to a lot of schools and the student voice that is encouraged here clearly is just super impressive. So you should really be proud of yourself. And I was a bit of a nerd at school, I have to say. So I absolutely loved school and I loved being a student leader. And really, I would, because I'm in a room of student leaders now, the one thing I can tell you from my personal experience is just take this opportunity that you have earned in your schooling career for being in positions of student leadership and take it for everything you can get out of it, because you will take those skills and experience to whatever you are called to do in your life. That's probably my fondest memory, being able to give back to my school community via leadership. I was very, very close to my English teacher. I have a very soft spot for English teachers in particular. As a result, teachers generally, I'll talk a little bit about that later, but my English teacher, Mrs. Elbra, was very transformative actually in my life. I was a massive bookworm. I loved reading. I just loved everything to do with English. And she really encouraged me. And then when I was interested in politics as a young teenager in year 9 and year 10, she really encouraged me. In fact, there was a time where there was a politician coming to my local area and I went to her and said, I want to go to this thing. She said, just take me to the school. So, not that we encourage that. I'm constantly in the media at the moment saying, go to every day in school. So, she encouraged me, and I think probably the lesson I take from what she and also my principal did for me, which is what teachers do every day for all of you, and it goes mostly unseen, but the impact of it is felt in our community every single day, is they see what we almost can't see in ourselves as young people, and they encourage you and push you sometimes a little bit beyond your comfort zone and encourage you to chase your dreams. That's what Mrs. Elbra did for me. And I'm positive without her encouraging me, I personally wouldn't be where I am today. Now I'm happy to repay that with her direct line to the Minister for Education as a teacher, which she uses all the time to call me about everything going on. That's cool. That's fine. She's the reason why I'm here today. So, yes, teachers are extremely impactful on all of us. And I think maybe take that away today as well. Like, just think about some of the teachers that have really impacted on you. And that, I'll talk about it later, but I think that recognition of the work that our teachers do is one of the major things I want to do while I have the honour of being in this position leading education in New South Wales.
Thank you, Ms. Carr. Can you tell us about your leadership journey to becoming the Minister of Education and Early Learning?
My leadership journey. Well, I suppose from that point when I was in year 9, and I was really interested in politics, and I would yell at the TV, when there was something that I disagreed with. The Prime Minister at the time is John Howard, and I hated him, and I would yell at the TV all the time. And my parents were like, just get it, you can join a political party, and you don't know at that age. So I sort of got involved from there, and then I was really active in the youth wing of the party that I'm in, and that most major parties have that. So if you're interested in politics, I would super encourage you to do that. And then from there, I finished school, and then I got involved in Young Labour, and then I had a couple of jobs here and there that were relevant. I worked for you guys won't even remember him because you're so young, but Bob Carr was the Premier of New South Wales, and I worked for him in the most junior of positions, like right down on the, like, so junior. I still have to remind him now when I see him that I worked for him. And then I sort of learnt the ropes. Then I ran for council in my area in Penrith. And that was a really great experience because people go to local council, they roll their eyes, And but it did teach me a lot about connecting with people on the level that where government has impact on their lives every day. I ran for the state election in 2011, and at that election, the political party that I represent got, when I say smashed, I mean absolutely annihilated, right? Like, so bad. The result was so bad, I was like, can I leave my house? Like, can I actually go to Woolworths, be seen? It was so bad. But I sort of dusted myself off again and ran again and got elected that time, and then have ran twice since then. Yeah, so, and then been in opposition for 8 years, the time that I've been in Parliament. Like, you guys know, you're clever, you understand the way it works, that, one party or a coalition of parties is in government and the other one's in opposition, and my party never had enough seats to be in government until the election in March, where now we're in government. And I was the Shadow Minister for Education, so standing up and trying to hold the minister to account. And then when we were elected, I was lucky enough for the Premier to ask me to be the Minister for Education. And now I think I've got the best job in government. I understand that the Minister for Health might argue with me that I think it's the most important job, because I know that people need to go to an emergency department in the middle of the night, right? But everything starts with education. Like, you wouldn't have your nurses or your doctors there or anything without education. So literally everything starts with a teacher in a classroom. Our whole society is built on a teacher in a classroom. And to me, that's, I'm still pretty idealistic. That's like goosebump stuff, I think. What happens in our schools every day is literally changing the world, little person by little person, whether it's you guys who are ready to go out into the world and change the world, or there's little kindergartners across the road at Cecil Hills, who are just beginning their educational journey. So it's a dream come true, really.
What would you say are your current main priorities for New South Wales public schools?
Well, obviously my job is about giving schools the support they need to help young people thrive. So really, for me, that is making sure that our schools are resourced in every possible way for our public schools in New South Wales to be the best they can be. Whether that's making sure that funding goes to where it needs to be, whether it's ensuring that, and this is a huge priority of mine, that we get on top of a huge issue that we face in this state and around the country, but my priority is New South Wales, is a shortage of teachers. And we do that by valuing the work that they do, by actually acknowledging we actually need to pay teachers more, so we encourage them to come into the system and stay, and that we make their jobs easier, because if I'm actually going to live out the values of everything starts with a teacher in a classroom, then we need to be supporting the people that are doing that. That's my biggest priority, is ensuring that we get more teachers into the profession and respecting and valuing the ones that we have in there, because everything starts with that. The single biggest indicator of all of your success in life will be how much time you get in front of a qualified teacher. So if I can do something in that regard over the next 4 years in particular, in this term, as you say, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning at the moment.
Just on the back of that, what would you say is like your ultimate vision or goal for students in New South Wales?
Look, I think my vision for all of you and every student in New South Wales is that you go to a school in your local high school or primary school where all the opportunities are there for you to succeed and thrive. Succeed, I don't mean the way, it doesn't necessarily look like bands in the HSC, right, or a NAPLAN result. Succeed and thrive to me means that you have an opportunity to realise the gifts and the talents that you have, and you have a way to explore them within your local public school, and that nothing stands in the way of that. So there aren't inequities in terms of, there's a lot of debate about funding for public schools to make sure that there is every opportunity for you to be the person that you want to be in your local public school. That includes making sure that you have the best possible resources. That means that every area, new areas, get public schools faster than they're getting them now, so they don't have to wait, and their parents don't have to fork out loans to put them into private schools. And that means that making sure that you have the best possible and the right amount of teachers and they're supported to do their life-changing work.
Given the fast-paced and dynamic nature of today's society, what do you believe are the biggest challenges for young people, and how can we all work together to solve them?
I think one of the biggest challenges that you face as a generation, and my children are in that sort of 12 and under category, so coming up to teenagers, the attitude on it, you would know it. So I can see this firsthand. I think the biggest challenge facing you, obviously, it's pretty cliche to say, but in terms of information coming at you via social media, I think the impact on your well-being and the recognition of mental health being as important as your physical health is the biggest challenge that you will face. And the information that is constantly coming at you from different sources and being able to critically look at that information and assess where it's coming from, what it's designed to do, be critical thinkers and always analyse things. I think that's the challenge that your generation will face. You've obviously faced your fair share of challenges already in high school with what has happened around the world. And I know that out of that experience, a lot of us have reprioritised our mental health, but I think that that's going to be, in the fast-paced world that you are inheriting, more and more of a challenge. I think I think things like artificial intelligence are becoming so interesting and challenging for your generation in terms of not just learning, because many of you learning is a constant thing, isn't it? The end of your schooling journey, but as you go into further education or in the workforce, how can we actually ethically use emerging technologies, confront the challenges that are coming to us for the benefit of and the betterment of our society?
Thank you for that. Considering the ever-changing expectations for youth in our society, what advice would you offer young, aspiring leaders?
What advice would I offer? I think you could probably offer me advice. So it's constant learning, right? That education isn't going to stop once you leave Cecil Hills or once you leave TAFE or uni or whatever you're doing. That education is a journey throughout your whole life, and to take that opportunity to continue to learn. I think I would urge you, and I think I'm probably pushing on an open door with you guys here because you're committed to your school community. But in your life, think about how you can impact other people. Use the skills and the talents that you all have to give back to other people. I'm really hopeful about your generation thinking through that frame. People say, especially older people, up to you I'm old, but
No.
But for people in my career, I'm not that old, unfortunately. But older people say they worry about the world, the next generation. I totally do not worry. I actually cannot wait until this generation is in charge, because I think you're more socially aware. Constantly I'm talking to young people about things that impact on the world. Like, to me, you're more conscious of what's happening in the world around you than any other generation I've seen. You're worried about the impact on the planet. You're worried about sustainability. You're worried about making sure that our country continues to be the most successful multicultural country in the world. You're worried about First Nations Australians. To me, once you guys take over, I'm going to be more confident about the future then. So I think just constantly challenge yourself about how you can give back and use your talents and your gifts to give back to society. But that's already happened here, because school is a microcosm of, it is a community, but it's a microcosm of society, and you guys are giving back. So I'm super impressed with what you're doing.
To mark this special occasion, we would like to ask you a few lightning quick questions from our junior SRC members.
Oh my God.
Are you ready for the Cecil Fastball, Miss Carr?
This is our careers end here.
All right,
Okay, go.
kick us off. Thank you, Kibir. So, kangaroos or koalas?
Koalas. That's quick fire, right?
Yeah. Fine.
Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Oh, Taylor Swift.
Panthers or Broncos?
Panthers.
Blues or maroons?
Blues.
Yeah, good
There
choice.
we go.
Yeah.
Should I?
You like pass?
Yeah.
Once again, on behalf of the entire Cecil family, thank you so much for your time and your incredible insights today, Ms. Carr. We're all really excited to see your priorities that you've mentioned today be implemented in future.
Thank you.
We learnt a lot from your responses, and we look forward to using those lessons to guide us through our own journey in life.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you here today with us. And we hope our listeners enjoy as much as we enjoyed filming it.
How do you subscribe to this podcast? Can you?
Yeah,
Or is it-
YouTube.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And I think we're trying to get it on Spotify as well.
Okay,
So
good.
that's
Okay,
it.
good.
And as,
Another things your teachers have to do. Yeah.
as always, for our viewers at home, if you have any future topics you want to explore in future episodes, or any individuals you'd like us to interview, feel free to let us know, or alternatively, let Mr. Florister or Mrs. Ishak